Story 1. The Red Arrows at the Paramount. I travel a lot for work. Enough to know that most hotels are the same recycled beige nightmare. So when I checked into the Paramount in Times Square, I wasn't expecting anything beyond overpriced minibar snacks and a broken ice machine. The clerk didn't even look up when she handed me the key card. It was blank. No room number. No logo. Just a smooth, white plastic card like something from a magician's trick deck. I raised an eyebrow and asked, "Is this some kind of minimalist chic thing?" She smiled, too long, too wide, and said, "Follow the red arrows on the carpet after 11 p.m. I laughed. She didn't. I thought it was a gimmick. Some artsy New York nonsense. But when I got to my floor, I noticed something off. The hallway was normal until I looked down. Tiny red arrows, barely visible unless you were really looking, stitched into the carpet fibers. They pointed toward the far end, past the vending machine and a door labeled Service Access. I checked the hotel map on the wall. Floors 1 through 25. That's it. But the elevator had a button for 26. No label. Just a small, worn circle where the number should have been. I pressed it. Of course I did. Curiosity beats common sense every time. The elevator didn't make a sound. No ding. No shift. Just a slow humming ascent that felt longer than it should have. When the doors opened, I expected a dusty maintenance floor or maybe a rooftop access hallway. Instead, it was the lobby. Or something trying very hard to look like it. Same chandelier. Same check-in desk. But the lighting was dimmer, like the bulbs were tired. And the air smelled sweet, almost rotten, like fruit left out too long. There were people. Dozens of them. All dressed like they'd stepped out of different decades. A woman in a 1950s dress clutched a leather suitcase. A man in bell-bottoms flipped through a newspaper dated 1974. They all had blank keycards. Just like mine. I tried to speak. I really did. But something about the way they looked at me, like I was interrupting a play they'd rehearsed for years, made my throat lock up. One of them, a kid who couldn't have been older than 16, walked up to me and said, "You just missed check-in. But they'll make an exception." His voice was calm. Too calm. I asked him what floor this was. He blinked. "We just got here yesterday." I backed toward the elevator, but the doors had closed. No buttons. No panel. Just a smooth wall where the controls should have been. I wasn't trapped, yet. But I was definitely somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. I walked toward the check-in desk, hoping someone behind it could explain what the hell was going on. The clerk looked identical to the one downstairs, same tight bun, same red lipstick, but her smile didn't move. It was painted on, frozen. I asked, "Is this some kind of event? A film shoot?" She tilted her head, slowly, like a puppet on a string. "You're early," she whispered. I glanced around. No phones. No clocks. No exits. Just that same sweet, decaying smell and the low murmur of guests repeating the same phrases. I just checked in. They said it'd only be one night. I think my room is on the 26th. Over and over like broken records. I turned and walked fast, maybe too fast, back toward the service corridor I'd come through. But it wasn't there. Just a wall now. Seamless. Carpeted. Like it had never been a doorway. I started to panic, but I kept it quiet. No way I was going to be the guy who screamed in a haunted hotel lobby. I tried talking to a woman sitting in one of the armchairs. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused. I asked her name. She said, "They told me I'd get a wake-up call." I asked when. She smiled. "Yesterday." That word again. Yesterday. I looked down at my keycard. Still blank. But now, it felt warm. I started walking. Not toward anything in particular, just away. The lobby stretched farther than it should have, like the walls were breathing, expanding. I passed a man in a tuxedo who was muttering to himself, holding a champagne glass with no liquid. He looked up and said, "They said the gala was tonight." I didn't respond. I just kept moving. The carpet beneath me felt thicker, heavier, like it was trying to hold me in place. And those red arrows? They were back. Faint but clearer now, leading me down a hallway that didn't exist on the hotel map. I followed them. Because what else do you do when reality starts folding in on itself? The hallway was narrow, claustrophobic. The wallpaper was peeling, revealing layers beneath, floral patterns, then stripes, then just raw concrete. I passed doors. Room numbers that made no sense. 2A6, 13Z Infinity. One of them was slightly ajar. I peeked inside. It was my room. Not the one I'd been assigned. This was my actual room. From home. Same comforter. Same crooked lamp. Even the dent in the wall from when I dropped my guitar. I stepped in, heart pounding. The air was still. Too still. I turned around to leave, but the hallway was gone. Just four walls now. And a mirror. The mirror wasn't mine. It didn't belong in my room. Tall, ornate, with a gold frame that looked melted at the edges. I stepped closer. My reflection was there, but it wasn't right. I was standing still, but the reflection tilted its head. I blinked. It didn't. I raised my hand. It was already halfway up. I backed away, heart hammering, and the reflection smiled. Not my smile. Something stretched and wrong. I turned to run, but the door was gone. Just a wall now. I was sealed in. I started banging, yelling, anything to break the silence. But the room absorbed the sound. Like it didn't want anyone to hear me. Then the lights flickered. Once. Twice. And the mirror began to hum. A low, vibrating sound that made my teeth ache. I watched as the reflection stepped forward, closer to the glass. I didn't move. It did. And then, it placed a blank keycard against the inside of the mirror. My keycard. I checked my pocket. Empty. I don't know how long I stood there frozen. But eventually the wall behind me opened. Not a door. Just space. A corridor dimly lit with more red arrows. I followed them. Because I didn't have a choice. Not anymore. The corridor led me back to the lobby. But it wasn't the same. The guests were gone. The lights were dimmer. The chandelier was swaying, though there was no breeze. I walked to the front desk. The clerk was still there, but now her eyes were closed and her smile was wider than before. I asked, "Can I check out?" She didn't respond. Just slid a new key card toward me. This one had a number, 26. I turned it over. My name was printed on the back. Not typed. Handwritten. I didn't give them my name. I never said it out loud. I ran to the elevator. The button for 26 was gone. Just a blank space now. I pressed it anyway. The doors opened. Inside was a mirror. The same one from the room. My reflection was waiting. Smiling. I didn't get in. I couldn't. I turned and sprinted down the hall, past the red arrows, past the peeling wallpaper, until I hit a door marked exit. It opened into Times Square. Noise. Light. People. I was out. I was free. But last night, the keycard was on my nightstand. Blank again. And this morning I woke up to a voicemail. No number. Just a voice whispering, "Follow the red arrows." If anyone's ever stayed at the Paramount and seen that extra floor, please say something. I need to know I'm not the only one. Story 2. Room Infinity at Beacon Hill. I travel a lot for work. Enough that hotel rooms blur together. Same beige walls, same stiff pillows, same passive-aggressive notes about towel reuse. So when my keycard at the Beacon Hill in red Infinity, instead of a room number, I rolled my eyes and assumed it was some pretentious boutique nonsense. Infinity Suite. Very edgy. The concierge didn't blink. Just said, "System glitch," and handed me the card like it was nothing. All other rooms were booked, he claimed. Of course they were. Finding the room was a joke. The elevator didn't list a floor for it. I had to take the stairs to the 3rd floor, cut through a hallway that smelled like mothballs and lemon cleaner, then pass a fire door marked "Staff Only." Beyond that, the carpet changed, Deep red, almost velvet, and the lights dimmed like I'd stepped into a theater. No signs. No numbers. Just one door at the end with a brass plaque. Infinity. I remember thinking, great. I'm staying in a math symbol. The first night the room looked normal enough. A little outdated, maybe. Floral wallpaper, clawfoot tub, one of those rotary phones that probably didn't work. I unpacked, answered a few emails, and crashed early. But when I woke up, something felt off. The wallpaper had changed. Now it was striped, pale blue. The tub was gone, replaced by a modern glass shower. My suitcase was still there, but next to it sat a pair of men's loafers I didn't recognize. Size 13. I wear a 9. I went down to the front desk, ready to complain. The concierge, same guy, slicked hair, 2 white teeth, just smiled and said, "Room Infinity has its quirks." I asked if someone had entered while I was out. He said no. I asked if the room had been renovated overnight. He said no. I asked if he was messing with me. He said, "Sir, if you're uncomfortable, I can offer earplugs." Earplugs. Like that was the solution to whatever the hell was happening upstairs. The second night, I made a point to take photos before bed. Just to prove to myself I wasn't losing it. I snapped shots of the furniture, the wallpaper, even the weird painting above the bed. A woman in a red dress standing in a foggy forest. I locked the door, double-checked it, and left the bathroom light on. Around 2:30 a.m. I woke up to a sound. Not loud. Just soft scratching. Like nails on fabric. I sat up, heart pounding, and listened. It stopped. I checked the door. Still locked. But the painting was gone. In its place was a mirror, oval, antique-looking, with a crack running down the center. I checked my phone. The photos I'd taken? All gone. Just black squares. I found a note on the nightstand written in shaky cursive, "Don't sleep past 3. The hotel decides." I laughed. Actually laughed. Thought, okay, someone's pulling a prank. But the handwriting looked old. Faded. Like it had been there for years. And the paper smelled musty. Like it had been tucked away in a drawer for decades. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. Just sat in the armchair watching the mirror. Around 3:17 a.m., the crack in the glass pulsed, like a vein. I swear it moved. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, looked again. Nothing. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something had seen me through it. Not reflected me. See me? I left the room at dawn, wandered the city until check-in time passed, then returned. The hallway to Infinity felt longer. Like it had stretched. And the carpet, it was damp. Inside, the room had changed again. Now it looked like something out of the 1970s. Shag rug, avocado green walls, a lava lamp bubbling in the corner. My suitcase was gone. In its place was a woman's purse. I opened it. Lipstick. A receipt from 1984. A photo of a child with the words, "Come home soon," written on the back. I checked the closet. A man's coat hung there, moth-eaten and smelling of tobacco. I didn't touch anything else. Just sat on the bed trying to breathe, trying to think. That night, I set an alarm for 2:55 a.m. I wasn't going to risk it. I stayed awake, pacing, checking the time every few minutes. At 2:41, the lights flickered. Not just in the room, I could see it through the crack under the door. The hallway went dark. Then came the knock. Soft, rhythmic, 3 taps. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Another note had appeared on the desk, this one written in block letters. "If you answer, you stay." I didn't answer. I waited. The knocking stopped at exactly 3 o'clock. I thought I was safe. I thought I'd beaten whatever game this place was playing. But when I turned around, the mirror was no crack this time. Just smooth glass. And in the reflection, I wasn't alone. There was someone standing behind me. A man in a bellhop uniform, face pale, eyes hollow. I spun around. No one there. I looked back at the mirror. Empty. I grabbed my things, or what was left of them, and ran. Down the hallway, through the fire door, past the lemon-scented corridor. I didn't stop until I hit the street. The hotel claimed I'd checked out early, said I left without notice, refused to refund me. I asked about room infinity. The manager, a different guy this time, said no such room existed. Showed me the floor plan. No fire door. No red carpet. No staff-only hallway. I asked about the concierge with the slicked hair. He said they hadn't had anyone matching that description in years. I showed him the photo I'd taken of the plaque. It was gone from my phone. Just static. Like a corrupted file. I haven't slept past 3 a.m. since. I set alarms. I keep lights on. I moved apartments twice. But sometimes, I still hear the knock. Same rhythm. Same time. 2:41 a.m. I don't know what would have happened if I'd answered. I don't want to know. But if anyone's ever stayed at Beacon Hill, if you've seen that symbol on your keycard, or found notes that weren't yours, please say something. I need to know I'm not the only one. Story 3, the loyalty member of Union Square. I never should have accepted the prize. That's what keeps echoing in my head. I was just visiting San Francisco for a tech conference. Nothing fancy, just panels and overpriced coffee. On my second morning, I got a call from a local radio station saying I'd won a weekend stay at a boutique hotel near Union Square. Thing is, I never entered any contest. I almost hung up, but they knew my name. My full name. And the receptionist said something that made my stomach drop. We've been expecting you. The hotel didn't look like much from the outside. Narrow, wedged between two retail buildings, with a faded awning that read only, The Union. Inside though, it was pristine. Too pristine. The kind of sterile elegance that feels like it's trying too hard to be normal. The man at the front desk didn't ask for ID. He just handed me a keycard with no room number. Just a symbol, an infinity loop, etched in silver. He smiled without blinking and said, "Take the service elevator. Press the button between 7 and 8. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. But when I stepped in, there was a button. No label. Just a faint glow. The elevator didn't jolt or hum like normal. Just shifted. Like the air changed. When the doors opened, I was in a corridor that didn't match the rest of the hotel. The carpet was older, patterned with faded reds and golds. The lights flickered in a rhythm that felt intentional, like breathing. There were maybe a dozen doors, all identical. I tried the first one on the left. It opened into a hotel room. My name was stitched into the pillowcase. I stepped inside and everything felt familiar. Not just the layout, the smell. That mix of sunscreen, old carpet, and my dad's cologne. On the dresser was a photo of me as a kid, holding a stuffed whale I hadn't thought about in decades. I turned and saw myself, maybe 8 years old, sitting on the bed watching cartoons. He didn't see me. I backed out, heart racing, and tried another door. This time I was older. Gray hair. Wrinkled hands. Packing a suitcase with trembling fingers, whispering, "I think I found it. I think I found the way out." I slammed the door shut. My hands were shaking. I tried to tell myself it was some kind of immersive art installation. Maybe the hotel was doing a weird psychological experience for their guests. But the fear didn't feel theatrical. It felt personal. I opened a third door. This time the room was empty, except for a mirror. I stepped inside, drawn to it. My reflection looked normal at first, but then it blinked before I did. I stumbled back into the hallway, gasping. The lights were dimmer now, the air thicker. I tried to find the elevator, but the corridor had changed. Longer. More doors. I ran to the one with the infinity symbol carved into the wood. It opened into the same room I'd first entered, the one with the photo and the child version of me. But now the photo was gone. The bed was made, and the TV was off, showing only static. I heard footsteps behind me, slow, deliberate. I turned, expecting a staff member. Maybe someone to explain what the hell was going on. But it was me again, older than before. Eyes sunken, lips cracked. He didn't speak, just stared. Then he pointed to the mirror. I didn't want to look, but I did. This time, my reflection was smiling. I wasn't. I backed away, whispering, "This isn't real." But the older version of me just kept pointing. His hand was shaking. His eyes, pleading. I ran. Door to door, each one opening into another version of the same room, but twisted. One was flooded ankle deep in water, with the sound of dripping echoing endlessly. Another had no windows, just walls covered in scribbled notes. "Don't trust the mirror. He watches from the static. You were never supposed to win." I tried to scream, but my voice felt swallowed by the air. I wasn't alone anymore. I could feel it, something watching. Not from the rooms. From the spaces between them. I found a door that was locked, the only one. I pounded on it, desperate. Behind me, the corridor groaned like the building itself was breathing. Then the door clicked open. Inside was the hotel manager. Same suit. Same smile. But his eyes were wrong. Too wide. Too still. He gestured to a chair and said, "You've earned this. Our most loyal member." I didn't move. He continued, "You've stayed here many times. You just don't remember. But your room remembers you." I asked him what this place was. He tilted his head like the question amused him. "It's where you go when you almost remember," he said. "Where all your versions meet. The ones who ran. The ones who stayed. The ones who found the exit, and the ones who didn't." I tried to leave, but the door was gone. Just wall now. I turned back to him, but he was fading, like static on a screen. The room began to flicker. And then I saw it again. The mirror. Waiting. I walked toward the mirror not because I wanted to, but because I had no choice. My reflection was younger now. Smiling. Behind it, the room looked different. Brighter. Like a version of the hotel that never existed. I reached out and the glass rippled. Pull. What? I heard voices, dozens of them, whispering my name. Some pleading. Some laughing. I pressed my hand against the surface, and it pulled. I woke up in my own bed. Or at least I think I did. The photo of me as a child was on my nightstand. My suitcase was packed. And my phone had one notification. "Thank you for your loyalty." I haven't slept since. Every mirror feels wrong. Every static buzz makes my heart race. If anyone's ever been through something like this, please say something. I need to know I'm not the only one. Story 4, Grandmother's Garden View. I never liked talking about my grandmother. She was complicated. The kind of woman who smiled too wide and whispered things you weren't sure you were supposed to hear. When she died last year, I thought I'd finally closed that chapter. But then came the envelope. No letter. Just a hotel voucher, prepaid, non-refundable, and a worn keycard with her handwriting on the back. Ask for the garden view. I almost threw it away. But something about the way she wrote it, like it was a secret only I was meant to know, made me hesitate. The Ambassador Hotel doesn't advertise garden views anymore. It's mostly business travelers and influencers now, all glass and chrome. But when I mentioned the phrase to the front desk, the clerk froze. He glanced at the manager, who nodded without a word. They led me past the lobby, down a service corridor that smelled like bleach and mildew. At the end was a freight elevator, old, rusted, with 2 keyholes. They inserted both keys at once. No one spoke. I asked what floor we were going to. The manager just said, "It's not on the map." The elevator groaned as it descended. Not up, down. I swear we went below the basement. The lights flickered, and for a moment I thought I saw wallpaper through the cracks in the elevator walls. Faded roses. The kind my grandmother used to have in her sitting room. When the doors opened, I expected concrete or pipes. Instead, I stepped into a hallway frozen in time, velvet carpet, brass sconces, and a faint scent of lavender and dust. It looked like something out of a 1920s postcard. But the strangest part? It felt familiar. My room was behind a maintenance door labeled storage. Inside, everything was pristine. Floral wallpaper, clawfoot tub, rotary phone. No TV. No outlets. Just a bed with lace sheets and a vanity with a silver brush set. On the desk was a note in the same handwriting as the keycard. "You'll be safe here. Just don't go downstairs after midnight." I laughed. Nervously. I didn't believe in ghosts or curses or any of that. But something about the way the air felt, heavy like it was watching, made me lock the door behind me. The first night I woke up cold. Not just chilly, freezing. The heater didn't work and the windows were sealed shut. But laid out on the armchair near the bed was a full outfit. Wool trousers, suspenders, polished shoes. All vintage. All my size. I hadn't seen it the night before. I didn't put it on, obviously. I just stared at it, wondering who had been in my room. I checked the door. Still locked. No signs of forced entry. But the rotary phone had moved slightly, just enough to notice. Around 2 a.m. I heard music. Faint but unmistakable. Big band. Brass and strings, echoing through the floorboards. I followed the sound to the hallway, where the scent of perfume and cigar smoke lingered. I know how insane this sounds, but I swear I saw shadows dancing behind the frosted glass of the ballroom doors. Men in tuxedos. Women in gowns. And in the center, my grandmother, younger than I ever saw her, laughing, spinning. Her eyes met mine through the glass, and she smiled. I stumbled back to my room, heart pounding. I didn't sleep. I just sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the clothes. The music stopped around 3 a.m., but the silence afterward was worse. Like the whole floor was holding its breath. The next morning I tried to leave. I packed my bag, marched to the elevator, but it wouldn't open. No buttons. No response. I banged on the doors until my fists hurt. Then I noticed something new, a breakfast tray outside my door. Eggs. Toast. A folded napkin with a single word, "Stay." I tried calling the front desk. The rotary phone didn't even have a dial tone. My cell had no signal. I checked the hallway again, no signs of life. But the ballroom doors were cracked open now. I didn't go in. I couldn't. Instead, I wandered the wing, hoping to find a stairwell or exit. Every hallway curved back to mine. Every door was locked. Except one. It led to a small parlor with faded portraits on the wall. One of them was my grandmother. Not young. Not old. Just watching. That night the clothes were different. A navy suit. A boutonniere. I didn't touch it. But when I turned away, I heard the wardrobe creak open behind me. Slowly. Like someone was inside. I grabbed the vanity chair and wedged it under the doorknob. I didn't sleep. I just listened. To the music. To the footsteps in the hallway. To the soft knock on my door at exactly midnight. 3 taps. Then silence. I didn't answer. I couldn't move. I just stared at the door until the sun came up. The next morning, the knock had left something behind. A corsage. Wilted. Familiar. I remembered it from her funeral, the one I placed on her casket. I started crying. I don't know why. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I was losing it. I tried. Screaming for help, banging on the walls, throwing furniture. Nothing changed. No one came. That night I gave in. I put on the clothes. I walked to the ballroom. The doors opened before I touched them. Inside, the music swelled, and everyone turned to look at me. They welcomed me like I'd always belonged. My grandmother took my hand and whispered, "You made it." Her skin was cold. Her eyes, too bright. The guests danced around us, their faces blurred, flickering like old film. I tried to speak, but my voice was gone. The music grew louder, faster, until it felt like it was inside my head. I broke away and ran, through the hallway, past the portraits, back to my room. The door was gone. Just wallpaper now. Roses. Faded. Familiar. I don't know how long I've been here. The clocks don't move. The food keeps coming. Every night the clothes change. Every night the music plays. And every night she knocks. I don't think I ever left the funeral. I think this is where she wanted me all along. If anyone's ever stayed at the Ambassador, if you've heard the music, If you've seen the garden view, please say something. I need to know I'm not the only one. Story 5. The Palmer House Bridge Registry. I didn't notice the note until I was already in the elevator. It was tucked behind my keycard, folded once, with handwriting that looked rushed, almost panicked. Michigan Avenue Bridge. 2:47 a.m. No room number. No welcome packet. Just that. I was in Chicago for a 3-day tech conference, staying at the Palmer House Hotel. Everything else had been normal. Check-in, lobby chatter, the stale scent of carpet cleaner. But that note, it felt like a dare. Or a warning. I'm not the kind of person who chases mysteries. I like structure. I like knowing where I'll sleep, what I'll eat, and when I'll be back. But something about that time, 2:47 a.m., kept echoing in my head. I couldn't sleep. I kept checking the clock. And when it hit 2:30, I was already dressed, standing outside the hotel, staring down Michigan Avenue like I was waiting for something to happen. I didn't even remember deciding to go. I just went. The bridge was empty. No cars. No joggers. Just the hum of the city in the distance and the river below, black and still. I walked to the center expecting, what? A person? A sign. I checked my phone. 2:46 a.m. Then, right on cue, a flicker of movement caught my eye. Between two buildings across the street, where there should have been nothing but brick and alley, a narrow doorway shimmered into view. It wasn't there before. I swear it wasn't. I crossed the street slowly, heart pounding. The doorway was wedged between a boarded-up diner and a dry cleaner, too narrow for any real entrance. But the keycard in my hand pulsed warm like it recognized the place. I held it up. The door clicked open. Inside was a hallway, long, velvet-lined, and silent. It looked exactly like the Palmer House. Same wallpaper. Same sconces. But something was off. The air felt suspended. Like time had stopped just for me. The lobby was full. But no one spoke. They just stood, or floated maybe, staring at nothing, their eyes wide and unfocused. Some were dressed in old-fashioned coats, others in pajamas, one man in a soaked tuxedo with riverweed tangled in his hair. I tried to ask someone what this place was, but my voice felt swallowed by the room. No echoes. No response. Just the soft sound of dripping water, though I couldn't see where it came from. Then the concierge appeared. He didn't walk, he glided. His suit was pristine, but his smile was wrong. Too wide. Too still. "Welcome," he said, handing me a small ledger. "You're not quite registered yet, but we've been expecting you." I opened the book. Every name had a date and a time. All of them, 2:47 a.m. All of them, Michigan Avenue Bridge. Some entries were over 100 years old. I flipped to the last page. My name was already there. "I don't understand," I said, my voice barely a whisper. The concierge tilted his head. "You've been sleepwalking," he replied like it was common knowledge. "Every night. To the bridge. You don't remember, but we do. We've been trying to intercept you before you complete the fall." I backed away, heart racing. "Fall?" He nodded slowly. "Everyone here jumped. Or was about to. They're still falling. This hotel, it's a pause. A courtesy stop before impact." I looked around again. The guests weren't standing, they were suspended. Their feet didn't touch the floor. Their hair drifted upward like they were underwater. One woman clutched a purse to her chest, eyes squeezed shut, whispering something over and over. I leaned closer. "It's not real. It's not real. It's not real." But her voice cracked on the last repetition, like she didn't believe it anymore. I turned to leave, but the hallway behind me was gone. Just a wall of mirrors now, and in every reflection I was falling too. I ran. Or tried to. The carpet felt soft at first, then sticky like wet moss. The lights flickered overhead, casting shadows that didn't match the guests. One man's shadow kept twitching, even though he stood perfectly still. I passed a ballroom where the chandeliers hung upside down, and a lounge where the piano played itself, each note slower than the last, like it was sinking. I found a stairwell, but every step I climbed dropped me lower. The numbers on the walls made no sense. Floor 3. Floor 2. Floor 2. Floor 2. Eventually, I collapsed in a hallway that smelled like river water and rust. The concierge was there again, waiting. "You can't leave until you understand," he said. "You're not here by accident. You've been coming for months. We just opened the door tonight." I wanted to scream, but my throat burned. I remembered flashes, waking up with wet socks, scratches on my palms, a bruise shaped like a railing. Had I really been walking to the bridge every night? Was this place catching me mid-step? The concierge handed me the ledger again. My name was glowing now. "You're close," he said. "Very close." I dropped the book and ran toward the nearest exit sign, but it led to a room with no doors, just windows overlooking the bridge. I saw myself there, standing on the edge, eyes closed, arms loose, the wind tugging at my coat. I screamed at the glass, but the reflection didn't flinch. It just leaned forward, slowly, like gravity was whispering. Then I woke up, in my hotel bed, dry, alone. The keycard was gone. No note, no ledger, but my shoes were damp, and my phone had a new alarm set, 2:47 a.m. I didn't set it. I swear I didn't. I've tried deleting it, but it comes back every night. I haven't slept since. I keep checking the door, the windows, the mirror. I don't know if I ever left that place, or if I'm still falling. If anyone's ever been through something like this, please say something. I need to know I'm not the only